What's going on, world? Marquis Mr. Fuel here, checking in with you guys. Just wanted to share a vibe with you. Once again, this is just something I learned along my journey that really helped me out. It really helped me be more intentional with my thinking, be more intentional with my words, and just be more intentional about life and my goals. So I just want to share with you guys the four agreements. The four agreements. Keep in mind everything I share with you guys, take it with a grain of salt. I always encourage people, listen, the goal is not to get you to think the way I think, but the goal is definitely to get you to think. Definitely want to get you to think. So let me just share some information that helped me along my journey. And the goal is that if you use this stuff, don't just hear it, but if you use this stuff, I'm pretty confident it's going to help you along yours as well. All right. So let's talk about the four agreements. The four agreements. The first agreement. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word. So what does that mean? That means do what you say you're going to do, mean what you say what you mean. But it also means understand that your words are very powerful. Your words are very powerful. Life and death is in the tongue. And if you've never heard that before, Google it. Google it. But life and death is in the tongue, right? If you come from a biblical background, the Bible says, in the beginning, there was the Word. So saying God made creation with his word. Now, I'm not trying to get religious. I'm not, we're not even going to go down that street. Just understand the message, all right? Don't look at the messenger. I'm just a messenger. Catch the message. Life and death is in the tongue. In the beginning was the word. So we can create with our word and we can destroy with our word. We can tell someone, hey, have a wonderful day. Or we can say, yo, go to hell. We can create positive emotion or we can create destructive emotion simply with our word. As a matter of fact, one of the ways to create a great following is to move people without touching them, right? Can you affect people without touching them? That's by using your word. So be impeccable with your word. Real quick, before I go on to the next agreement, let's break down impeccable. Impeccable, because some people will hear that and they say, oh, be really perfect with your word. Be very intentional with the words that you speak. And that is correct. But let's break down impeccable. Etymology is like the understanding, the root meaning of words. So when we look at the etymology of impeccable, I-M, just like in impossible, that means like to be without, to not. Great day, how are you? That means to not, right? Or to be without. That's impeccable comes from a Latin word, Picassos, I believe. I might be wrong. Peccable, I'm forgetting right now, but peccable comes from a word that means to sin. Now, a lot of people know that word to sin. They know that from religion. But sin simply means, right, it's not really a word subject to any religion. Sin means anything you do against yourself. Anything you do against yourself or anything you do that's beneath you as a human. Anything you do that's beneath you or beneath your standards is sin. So whether you speak against yourself and you say, man, I'm broke. Whether you say, man, I'm getting old. Man, I can't do that. Man, my knees don't work. They don't work like they used to. Whatever words you speak that's not uplifting yourself and others is not impeccable. So impeccable comes from the root word to sin. Im means without. So when you're impeccable with your word, that means you are without sin against yourself. This is very important. So be impeccable with your word. I spent a lot of time on that because, listen, that's probably the most powerful. That's probably the most important agreement, is being impeccable with your words. I can't stress that enough, guys. I let this car go by and then I'll drop the second one on you. So the second agreement. The second agreement is never assume anything. Don't make assumptions. Too many times people just assume things are supposed to be a certain way, or they assume people are going to do certain things. They just assume. Now, if you've never heard this before, assume means to make an ass out of you and me, right? If you spell it out. But seriously, assume. When we assume things are going to go a certain way, when we set our expectations incorrectly, all that can do is promote ill intentions, or ill feelings, especially if you don't have your emotions balanced. Right? What's going on, Azim? Especially if you don't have your emotions balanced. So you don't want to assume anything. Again, this information I'm sharing with you does not come from me. It's just something that I found along my journey that when I implied it, life changed. Life changed. So never assume anything, right? Somebody might say, don't get excited off of what someone says. Get excited from what they do. Because people will say all kinds of things, right? So we don't get excited off their word until they show us that they can be impeccable with their word. So don't assume anything, right? Don't make assumptions. They usually don't work out. Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. The next agreement. Don't take anything personal. Whoa, that's a hard one. Because most people are used to taking things personal. Just like most people don't know how to be impeccable with their word. That's like most people are trained since they're little to gossip, which is another way that you can not be impeccable with your word. Gossiping, right? Most people want to talk about somebody else to make themselves feel better. I'm telling you, gossip is death. You got nothing to talk about, so let's talk about her shoes. You got nothing to talk about, so let's talk about her eyelashes. You got nothing to talk about, so let's talk about his busted car. So it make you feel better for whatever you got going on in your life. So most people don't know how to be impeccable with their word. They don't know how to not make assumptions, and they damn sure don't know how to not take things personal. Everything is against you. Everything is about you. You hear someone say something, you take it personal. You're like, whoa, well, I don't do. Why you got to defend? That was a general statement. This is so important. Even when something seems deliberately angled towards you, you have to still not take it personal. That's even harder. So what am I talking about? Let's back up. First of all, don't take anything personal. Meaning anything that comes your way into your world, you can choose whether that's offensive or flattering. Right? So for my ladies watching this, if somebody goes, dang girl, you beautiful. Right? Or maybe you're not around such demographics where they talk like that. So if they go, wow, you are the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my life, I gotta talk to you. Right? However that happens, my ladies, you make the decision whether those series of words is offensive or flattering. It's not the person who sent it to you. They have their own intentions, but how you receive it is really up to you. So you're going to take it personal or not. Right? You're going to take it personal or not. Same thing goes for, I can make an example for males. I don't just want to single out women, but hopefully you get the point. Right? Hopefully you get the point. Don't take anything personal. Because when you take things personal, you get your emotions involved, and now you're operating out of a state of imbalance. And this is important. Because most people, once again, they don't know when they're operating out of a state of imbalance. So for instance, you could be upset about something. I don't know. Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's somebody, you woke up in the morning and the first thing you did was check your phone like most people do. And it was a negative text message, right? Whatever it is, you're upset. Now you're driving in the car, dropping the children off to school, and the children are in the back seat doing what children do. They're back there singing and playing and being positive, blissful about life because they lit. And you turn around like, man, y'all shut up with all that noise. I'm driving. Rah, 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 the traffic crazy. What? Man, they didn't make that traffic show up. They got nothing to do with that. You know? They have nothing to do with that. But yet, you're taking out something, you got an anger somewhere else, and you're taking that on them. This is important. And because children don't necessarily know how not to take things personal, you're not being impeccable with your word, you could say something to them that could affect them for the rest of their day, week, lives. That's important, right? So don't take anything personal. Because when you get your emotions involved, whatever's going on, you'll just transfer that energy. Because energy is neither created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. So you'll transfer that negative energy somewhere else to someone else, so on and so forth. This is important. All right? Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume anything. Don't take anything personal. Stay balanced. Don't let anybody in. As a matter of fact, you control how people move around you. This is important. You control how people operate around you. So if you want to give them the puppet strings and they put a battery in your back, then take things personal. If you don't want anybody controlling your mind, your space, how you operate, so on and so forth, then don't take anything personal. They can't get in. Stay balanced. And the last agreement. This is really important too. The last agreement is always do your best. Always do your best. That's the fourth agreement. These are 4 agreements for you to live a better life. Always do your best. It doesn't matter what you do, but do your best. Do your best. And only you will know really if you gave it your all. Only you will know. They say for you to be balling, you have to be all in. So if you want to ball out, if you want to ball in, you got to be all in. Right? You got to do your best. You got to give it your all. And don't play yourself. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So when you first try something, or when you're doing something new, or if you've been doing something for a few years, you can probably get better at it. Right? You can probably be better at it. So do your best. This is important, guys. I really hope you're grabbing this. Always do your best. Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take anything personal. And always do your best. All right? These are the 4 agreements. I guarantee if you apply this, don't just hear it. Because again, knowledge by itself is not power, right? Come here. Knowledge by itself is not power. This dog runs up to me all the time. Sorry. Nah, he's super cool. He's super cool. Come here. Sorry. He might want to welcome me. What's going on, King? Right? So last thing, these 4 agreements, if you can apply them, knowledge by itself is not power, but the application thereof is everything. The application thereof is everything. All right? So that being said, hopefully somebody got some value from this. The goal is always to help 3 people a day. I have no clue where those people are going to come from or how they're going to come or how I'm going to cross their lives. But if somebody heard something from me just now and they can use it and they can see how they can apply it and level up in their life, then boom, the job is done. So that being said, the goal is always to provide you with fuel to live your best life. The 4 agreements is just that. So hopefully you can pump up on that high octane and let's get it. That being said, I will see y'all at the bank or the beach. I'll see you at the top or from the top. Y'all be blessed. Peace.